You do not owe the internet an explanation. Not your parents, not the group chat, not the coworker with the raised eyebrow. That is not a permission slip to be rude. It is a specific piece of technical advice written down by 3 different Stoics for 3 different reasons, and it survives because most of us break it by lunchtime. Not explaining yourself is not silence, and it is not stonewalling. It is a discipline about where your attention is allowed to go. 10 instructions on this, from Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Seneca. Every line on screen, so you can check it yourself. Here is the technical version of the claim. Epictetus opens his handbook by sorting the entire world into 2 piles. What is yours? Judgment, effort, choice, and what is not? Body, property, and reputation. Reputation is in the 2nd pile, which means an explanation aimed at repairing your reputation is an attempt to manage something the Stoics filed on page 1 as not yours to manage. That is the whole argument in one sentence. Everything below is what it looks like applied to a specific Tuesday. Lesson 1. Reputation was never on your list. Some things are in our control and others not. Things in our control are opinion, pursuit, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever are our own actions. Things not in our control are body, property, reputation, command. Read the second list again. Reputation sits between property and command, a possession you can be evicted from at any time, by people who were never asking your permission. An explanation is an attempt to manage that list, which means every hour spent composing one is an hour spent lobbying a jury that was never actually seated. You can still speak. You just stop mistaking it for control. Lesson 2. The words never reach you. Only your reading of them does. Not he who gives ill language or a blow insults, but the principle which represents these things as insulting. When, therefore, anyone provokes you, be assured that it is your own opinion which provokes you. This is usually taught as a comfort. It is really a diagnosis. The comment lands as 5 words on a screen. The sting is manufactured downstream of that, in the half-second where you decide what the 5 words mean about you. Which is why an explanation aimed at the 5 words is aimed at the wrong target. The words did not hurt you. Your verdict on them did, and a verdict is something you wrote, alone, without the other person in the room. Lesson 3. They are following their logic, not yours. When any person harms you or speaks badly of you, remember that he acts or speaks from a supposition of its being his duty. You will meekly bear a person who reviles you, for you will say upon every occasion, "It seemed so to him." This is the line that makes explaining yourself look almost naive. You are not choosing between silence and being understood. You are choosing between silence and handing your reasoning to someone running on a different premise, one where, right now, the conclusion they already reached seemed correct to them. An explanation assumes a shared premise to appeal to. Half the time, there isn't one. Lesson 4. Don't correct the record. Let it stand. If anyone tells you that such a person speaks ill of you, don't make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He does not know my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these." Notice what Epictetus does not say. He does not say deny it, or produce a witness, or clear your name. He hands you one joke, aimed at yourself, and tells you to walk away with it. Because the moment you start correcting the record, you have accepted that the record is yours to keep. A second job, unpaid, with an audience that never agreed to be your editor. Lesson 5. Produce the wool. Skip the receipts. Sheep don't throw up the grass to show the shepherds how much they have eaten. Inwardly digesting their food, they outwardly produce wool and milk. Epictetus wrote this about students who wanted to prove they understood philosophy by quoting it constantly. It applies just as well to a career, a diet, a marriage. If you are still explaining the decision, some part of you suspects the outcome will not do the explaining for you. The alternative he gives is not confidence. It is patience. Digest it, and let the wool speak whenever it's ready to. 5 lessons in, and 1 honest complication. This is not an instruction to stop caring what happens to you. Epictetus taught for decades, wrote nothing himself, and needed a student, Arian, to write it down for him. A man who plainly wanted to be understood by someone. The line the Stoics are drawing is narrower than it sounds. Not never speak. Only stop confusing, speaking with control. 5 more, and the sharpest one is last. Lesson 6. When you're censured, make no defense. The marks of a proficient are that he censures no one, praises no one, blames no one, accuses no one, and, if he is censured, he makes no defense. That final clause is the whole modern reply guy problem in 4 words. Somebody is wrong about you online, and the itch to correct them arrives disguised as justice. Epictetus calls it a symptom, the mark of someone who has not yet finished the first exercise, sorting what's yours from what isn't what. Lesson 7. Stop watching what they say, do, or think. How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only to what he does himself, that it may be just and pure. Run straight along the line without deviating from it. Marcus is not writing about strangers here. He is writing about people who lived close enough to check on constantly, a court full of them. Refreshing a rival's numbers, replaying a friend's tone, guessing at what an ex thinks now. All of it is the neighbor's business, imported into your evening at your own expense. The line he draws is not moral, it is architectural. Look at your own conduct, or look at everyone else's opinion of it. There is not room in one glance for both. Lesson 8. The imaginary rebuttal still wastes the real day. Do not waste the remainder of thy life in thoughts about others. What is such a person doing, and why? And what is he saying? And what is he thinking of? And what is he contriving? This is the emperor describing the exact shape of a 2 a.m. spiral, 18 centuries early. You are not talking to anyone. You are rehearsing a version of the conversation where you finally land the sentence that fixes it, against an opponent who is asleep and was never going to hear it anyway. Marcus's fix is not to win the imaginary argument faster. It is to notice you are in one and put down the pen. Lesson 9. Praise and blame from the crowd are the same coin. We ought to set equal value upon the honors and the reproaches of the mob. We ought not to be hurt by the one or to be pleased by the other. This is the half of the lesson people skip. It's easy to agree you shouldn't be crushed by a bad comment. It's harder to admit that chasing a good one is the identical mechanism, just running in the other direction. Seneca is not telling you to feel nothing. He is telling you the crowd's opinion is one substance wearing 2 masks, and an explanation is usually an attempt to trade the bad mask for the good one, using the same currency. Lesson 10. Before you defend yourself, ask one question. Do these things befall me deservedly or undeservedly? If deservedly, it is not an insult, but a judicial sentence. If undeservedly, then he who does injustice ought to blush, not I. This is the closest the Stoics get to giving you a script, and it is only one question long. Deserved then it is not an insult. It is information, and the useful move is to fix the thing, not defend it. Undeserved? Then the discomfort belongs to whoever said it, not to you. And a person explaining themselves out of someone else's mistake has already lost the exchange, whether or not they win it. 10 instructions, and none of them told you to go quiet. Sort what's yours from what isn't. Trace the sting back to your own verdict, not their words. Remember, they're following a logic you don't share. Let the record stand uncorrected. Produce the wool, skip the receipts. Make no defense when censured. Stop watching the neighbor's ledger. Notice the imaginary rebuttal for what it is. Treat praise and blame as the same coin. And ask before you type anything whether it was deserved. None of this is about winning the argument faster. It's about noticing most days that there was never a jury seated to begin with. Every passage is in the description with its citation and its translator. If today's argument can wait until tomorrow, it usually can. There is one idea here every day.